In recent years, cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman and other brilliant minds have started pointing to a disturbing truth. What we see isn't reality, not a distorted version of it, not a blurry glimpse, but something else entirely. According to Hoffman, evolution didn't shape us to perceive truth, it shaped us to perceive what helps us survive. That means the world you see, the body you think you're in, even the thoughts running through your head, might not be what they appear to be. Feels real? Sure, but that doesn't mean it is. Everything you know looks real. The facts you trust, the past you remember, the identity you've carried for decades. But what if that too is part of the illusion? A mental movie stitched together by belief, memory and language, edited so smoothly you forgot it was a script. That creeping déjà vu, that feeling that life is strangely familiar or weirdly staged. It's not just your imagination, it's the perception glitching. It's awareness trying to show you what's beneath the mask. In this video, we're not pulling at threads, we're yanking the whole curtain down. We'll explore how identity is a role you didn't choose, how language filters what's possible, and how the mind creates a false sense of control just to keep itself intact. And most of all, we'll meet the one part of you that's never been fooled, the quiet watcher behind the noise, the one that sees through the illusion without needing to name it. So if something inside you has ever whispered, "This doesn't feel right," don't brush it off. You're not losing your mind. You're starting to step out of it. And once that door opens, there's no going back. 1. The architecture of belief. How your mind designs a false world. He thought he knew the world. Same road, same job, same morning coffee. But what he didn't see was that he wasn't living in the world. He was living in a version of it shaped by years of quiet conditioning. Most people don't notice that. They confuse the movie playing in their heads for the actual screen of life. But the mind builds models, not realities. And what feels familiar? That's often just a belief dressed as truth. The illusion isn't hiding. It's standing right in front of you, smiling like an old friend. Your perception isn't neutral, it's curated. Take two people walking into the same room. One sees competition, the other sees connection. The room didn't change, their programming did. Beliefs act like tinted glass, filtering light before it ever touches the eye. And here's the uncomfortable part. Those filters aren't even yours. They were handed to you by parents, teachers, culture. It's like being born into a house and thinking you designed it. Want to break through? Start by questioning things you think are just the way it is. Try journaling about core beliefs like, "Life is hard," or "I'm not good with money." Ask, where did that come from? Who told me that? Then get quiet and notice what happens in your body when you challenge it. Awareness begins in the moment you pause and ask, wait, is this actually true? It's wild how much of your identity is just a reflection of the belief systems you inherited. You weren't born doubting yourself, you learned it. And if you learned it, you can unlearn it. But don't worry, we're just getting started. Because if beliefs can shape your world, imagine what time can do when it starts whispering in your mind. 2. Time is a trick of the mind, and you're caught inside it. Most people live stuck between what was and what might be. The past tugs at their shirt, while the future screams from the horizon. But here's the secret nobody really tells you. Time isn't real the way we think it is. It's perception. A mental framework, a clever illusion that turns memories into anchors and possibilities into prisons. You're not actually in time, you're thinking about it. And while you're busy rehearsing yesterday or planning tomorrow, life is slipping by unnoticed. Ever been haunted by something that happened years ago? A conversation, a mistake, a missed chance? You replay it, re-feel it, like it's happening now. That's the trap. The mind doesn't distinguish between memory and current reality. It reacts to both. And the kicker, memories are unreliable. They're stories edited by emotion, bent by belief and distorted by identity. What you remember might be more illusion than fact. and yet it drives your actions today. And the future? It's just imagination in costume. Anxiety, excitement, hope, they're all projections built from old data. Your brain loops past patterns and paints the future with the same brush. That job interview you're nervous about. Your body's reacting to a memory, not a real threat. Want to start loosening the grip? Set a timer for 2 minutes a day. Just sit. No past, no future, just the breath. And when thoughts pull you back into time, smile. You're starting to see the trick. Awareness lives outside of time. It doesn't care what happened last year or what might go wrong tomorrow. It only knows now. And when you start living from now, time stops being a cage and becomes just another story the mind likes to tell. But if time is just a story, then what happens when you look into the mirror and start questioning who's telling it? 3. The face in the mirror is not you. It never was. You've been staring into the mirror your whole life, thinking you were seeing yourself. But what you're really seeing is a collection of stories, wrapped in skin, decorated with memories, shaped by other people's expectations. That face? It's not you. It's a costume stitched together by the mind to keep you anchored in something familiar. And it works, because when identity feels solid, the illusion feels safe. But safe doesn't mean true. Think about how different you were 10 years ago. Different goals, opinions, maybe even a different voice. If you could change that much, who was the real you back then? Who is it now? The truth is, identity is like wet paint, always shifting, never dry. You say, that's just who I am. But what if who you are is just who you've practiced being? From the clothes you wear to the tone you speak with, most of it is performance. Not in a fake way, but in an unconscious, habitual one. Here's a simple way to poke the illusion. Every morning for a week, look in the mirror and ask, who taught me to be this? Who taught me this haircut, this posture, this idea of success? Then stay silent for 30 seconds. You'll feel something stir. That's awareness waking up, the part of you that's watching the identity, not clinging to it. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't need one. So if you're not the face, not the voice, not even the thoughts, then what's left? That's not a problem to solve. It's an invitation to explore. And when you realize the mirror has never shown you the full truth, you start wondering what else you've been looking at without really seeing, especially when it comes to the senses, which might be lying to you too. 4. Sensory deception. Why seeing, hearing, and feeling can't be trusted. We've been trained to trust our senses like loyal messengers. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it myself. But what if those senses are lying? Or worse, what if they're telling only half the story? The truth is, perception is interpretation. What you see isn't light. It's your brain translating signals into a visual guess. What you hear isn't sound. It's vibration turned into meaning. It feels real, but so does a dream until you wake up. Take optical illusions, for example. 2 lines look different lengths, but measure them, and they're the same. Your eyes weren't wrong. They just prioritized speed over accuracy. Or think about how music can feel sad or happy, even without lyrics. That's not hearing, it's emotional memory coloring sound. The mind is constantly editing your experience to make it make sense. But that means it's also hiding things. Awareness, though, doesn't need proof. It just watches. Want to test this for yourself? Spend 1 day noticing how your senses change depending on mood. When you're tired, does food taste dull? When you're anxious, does the world sound louder? That's your perception bending under pressure. Try watching a scene in silence, then with music. 2 different realities. The senses aren't giving you truth. They're giving you what your brain thinks you need to function. And that should make you wonder, if your senses are curating your reality, who's writing the script? Who decides what gets in and what gets filtered out? Maybe it's time to ask what else is shaping your experience. What's hiding in plain sight, behind the words you use every day without even thinking? 5. The language trap. How words shape what you think is real. Before you had words, you just were. There was no name, no job title, no good or bad, just pure awareness. But then came language, and with it, the illusion of understanding. Suddenly, everything needed a label. This is a chair. That's a failure. You are successful. But words don't describe reality. They slice it into pieces. And when you live by those pieces, you forget the whole. You don't see what's there. You see what your mind calls it. Ever notice how different a thing feels when you rename it? A problem feels heavy, but call it a challenge, and it feels like a game. That shift? Pure perception. Words shape your identity, your relationships, even your self-worth. Someone calls you lazy at age 10, and you carry that label for 30 years, not because it's true, but because it became part of the mental wallpaper. The illusion isn't the word, it's the belief behind it. So here's something worth trying. For 1 week, strip labels from your day. Don't say bad traffic, just say traffic. Don't say I'm angry, say anger is here. Notice the space it creates. It seems small, but it's huge. You're no longer trapped in the story, you're observing it. And when you stop attaching words to every emotion, person and moment, life becomes clearer, less filtered, more honest. Language is useful, sure, but it's also limiting. It makes you forget that life existed before the labels. And once you see that, something inside starts waking up, especially when you realize that voice in your head, yep, the one using all those words, might not be you at all. 6. Thought puppetry. Your mind is talking, but you're not the one speaking. That voice in your head, the one narrating everything from what to eat to how you screwed up that meeting 10 years ago. Yeah, that voice isn't you. It feels like you because it never shuts up. But here's the deal. Most of those thoughts are recycled. They're old patterns, social scripts, fears in disguise. Your mind is like a ventriloquist, and you've mistaken the dummy for the real speaker. That's the illusion, thinking you're in charge when really you're just watching the show. Try this. Sit in silence for 5 minutes and watch your thoughts. Don't try to stop them. Just observe. Notice how random they are. I should call my cousin. Why did I wear this shirt? Is the dog judging me? They just appear. You didn't ask for them. They don't wait for permission. And when you see that clearly, something clicks. You're not the one creating the thoughts. You're the one noticing them. That's awareness, quiet, present, untouched. It's like living with a roommate who never stops talking. At first, you try to argue, then you try to shut them up. But eventually you realize you don't have to do either. You just don't take them seriously. That's when things shift. You stop getting dragged into every story, every fear, every criticism. You stop building identity out of noise. And in that space, something deeper emerges, a calm that's been there the whole time. Now imagine if society didn't just encourage that voice, but actually rewarded it, made it louder, more certain, more aggressive. That's when thought becomes culture. And suddenly you're not just caught in your own illusion, you're caught in everyone's. 7. The consensus dream. How culture creates a shared illusion. Culture is a powerful hypnotist. From the moment you're born, it starts whispering in your ear how to act, what to believe, who you are. It hands you a script, and most never think to question it. You grow up calling it truth, calling it reality, but it's just a well-rehearsed illusion that everyone around you agreed to. That's the scary part. When enough people believe in a lie, it stops looking like a lie. It becomes a consensus dream. And the deeper you're in it, the more real it feels. Think about the stories you've been told since childhood. Work hard and you'll be happy. Success means money. You are your achievements. These aren't universal truths, they're cultural programs, and they work best when you don't see them as programs. Ever feel guilty for resting? Anxious when you're not doing enough? That's not your inner wisdom talking, that's conditioning. Your mind, shaped by society, judging you from the inside out. But who benefits from that voice? Here's a practical way to start cracking the consensus. Write down 5 things you believe are true about life, about love, success, purpose. Then ask yourself, where did I learn this? Was it your parents, school, a movie, religion? You'll be shocked at how many of your beliefs were downloaded without your awareness. And once you see that, they lose their grip. Not because you found better beliefs, but because you stopped confusing culture with reality. That's a huge step toward waking up. But here's the twist. Even when you start questioning the dream, there's still something deeper running the show. Something quieter, older than culture, older than thought. It's not a belief. It's not a role. It doesn't argue or explain. It just watches. And once you get a glimpse of it, you'll never look at yourself the same way again, because behind the illusion, there's something that was never fooled. 8. The presence behind the illusion. What remains when the story ends? Beneath every thought, every emotion, every identity you've ever worn, there's something that doesn't move, something that doesn't change when your job title changes, when your body ages, when your beliefs collapse. That something isn't a concept, it's not a memory or a role, it's presence, pure awareness. Always here, always watching, never needing to prove itself. Most people live their whole lives without realizing it's there, because they're too busy being someone to notice the one who's simply being. You've probably touched it without realizing. That quiet moment after a long laugh, where the mind pauses and something still lingers, or when you're watching the sunset and forget just for a second to be you. That silence, that peace, that's what's real. The rest, the names, the labels, the mental noise, is just passing weather. The illusion keeps you chasing versions of yourself, but the presence has no version. It doesn't need to become anything because it already is. Want to meet it on purpose? Here's a practice. Sit in stillness and ask, what's here if I stop trying to be me? Then just listen. Let the mind panic. Let the thoughts spin. Don't fight them. Just keep resting in the space that sees it all. You'll start to notice something strange. You don't disappear. You expand. The one watching the storm isn't caught in it. That shift, that's the doorway out of the illusion. That's where real freedom lives. Not in controlling the mind, but in realizing you were never it. And once you've seen that, it changes the whole game. You stop searching for yourself in mirrors, titles, or achievements. You stop needing permission to be at peace, because peace was never a reward. It was your default state, buried under layers of noise. And now that you've felt it, what happens if you lived from it? If presence became your new identity, not as a concept, but as your daily reality?